Welcome back to the garage. This is Token Teardown, the show where we jack crypto projects up on the lift, crawl underneath with a flashlight, and find out what's actually going on under the hood. No spin, no soft touch, no community armor. Today on the lift, Onyxcoin, ticker XCN. This one came straight from you, viewer request. Been sitting in the comment section for a minute. And when enough of you keep saying, put it on the lift, we put it on the lift. Now, XXX took this one personally. He went deep, pulled the white paper, crawled through the GitHub repos, read the Goliath spec sheet, dug through Etherscan treasury wallets, checked the Explorer stats, cross-referenced supply numbers across 4 different sources, and found out they don't even agree with each other. We'll get to that. When XXX finally brought this one over, he had a look on his face. You know the look. It's not excitement. It's not disgust. It's the look a mechanic gives you when you bring in a car that's been through 5 owners, 3 engine swaps, and a new paint job every 2 years. He said, "This thing has been in somebody's garage since 2014, and it's still not on the road." The car XXX handed me was a 1995 Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX. Now, if you know, you know. The Eclipse GSX was a legend. All-wheel drive, turbocharged, the car that launched 1,000 Fast and Furious builds. Every kid in the 2000s wanted one. They were fast, they were cheap, and they spent more time on jack stands in somebody's garage getting modded than they ever spent on the road. This one's been sitting for over a decade. Different owner every few years. New paint job each time. Someone just bolted on a big turbo, and it's sitting in the driveway making boost noises. Sounds great from outside, but has it actually done a lap? Has it carried a single passenger anywhere? Not yet. That's Onyxcoin, a project with real history, real ambition, real heritage, and a whole lot of time spent in the shop without ever making it to the track. Before we drop this on the lift, yes, we will get to price predictions. But before we tell you what this thing might be worth, we need to figure out if it can even make it out of the driveway. Smash the like, hit the follow, and share this with your gym bro. You know the one, the PEPE guy. The one who's doing lat pull downs telling you about a frog coin while you're trying to focus on your set. You're starting to think this guy actually knows the frog. Like they go hiking together. Like the frog spots him on bench press. Share this with him. Tell him the garage is open and we don't do frogs. We do engines. All right, lift it, lock it, lights on. Let's tear it down. Before we touch the tech, we always start with the same question. Who made it? Because in this garage, we don't trust the badge. We trust the people turning the wrenches. Onyxcoin started life as Chain, founded in 2014 by Adam Ludwin, doxed, real name, venture capital pedigree. The original pitch was enterprise blockchain infrastructure for banks and institutions, and early on, it had traction. Partnerships with NASDAQ, Citi, Visa, real names, real boardrooms. Then things got complicated. In 2018, Lightyear Corp acquired Chain. Then in January 2023, the whole thing rebranded again to Onyxcoin with ticker XCN. 3 names, 3 eras, same chassis underneath. Now the honest question. Who is building this today? And this is where XXX hit a wall. The public GitHub organization lists no public members, 0 visible builders. The primary smart contract repo, last commit, February 2023. That's over 3 years of silence on the core token contract. Now, for the coders listening, if contracts are deployed and immutable, you don't need to keep committing. That's normal. But the narrative says this is an active project with a new L3 chain, a testnet called Goliath, updates rolling today. And the code activity doesn't match. For the mechanics, it's like a shop that says they're building a custom engine, but the toolbox hasn't moved in 3 years. Maybe they're working somewhere you can't see, but the workbench is dusty. There is some life. The interface repo, the front end, Shows commits clustered around August 2025. So somebody is building the dashboard, the app layer, but the engine, the core chain code, the rollup configuration, that's not visible in public repos. Bus factor, high. No public members, no verifiable builder set. If the core team walked, it's unclear who picks up the wrench. Pit crew takeaway. Real founder with real enterprise history, but dormant public repos. Invisible builders on the current stack. And a history of rebrands that raises continuity questions. The shop has a name on the door. The question is whether anyone's inside. Now, what did they actually build? This is where it gets interesting, because what Onyxcoin is today is not what it was 2 years ago. Originally, XCN was a pure ERC20 token on Ethereum. Governance, staking, discounts, no chain, no network. Just a token riding on someone else's highway. That's changed. Onyx is now positioning itself as a layer 3 blockchain. For the coders, it's a modular rollup deployed on Arbitrum Orbit using the Nitro stack. Optimistic rollup execution with an AnyTrust data availability committee for cheap data posting. EVM compatible. Chain ID 80888. XCN as native gas. Settlement flows L3 to base to Ethereum. 3 layers deep. If any one fails, everything above it stops. For the mechanics, think of it like this. Ethereum is the interstate highway system. Base is an express lane built on top of that highway. And Onyx is building a private service road that connects TO, that express lane. Cheap tolls, fast speed. But the service road is brand new, short, and right now, nobody's really driving on it. Now, the Goliath testnet, the L3 itself. Spec sheet claims 1.2 second block times, sub-penny fees, and ABFT consensus elements for faster finality. Those are good numbers on paper, competitive with anything in the L3 space. But spec sheets are not lap times. These are projected performance numbers, not battle-tested production metrics under real load. Big difference between what the dyno says and what happens at the drag strip. Product inventory. XXX verified all of these on onyx.org today. XCN staking and DAO governance, live on Ethereum. Onyx wallet, non-custodial, live. Onyx AI agent, deployable, live. Superbridge, bridged USDC, third web integration, all live. And then there's the product page, card, payments, enterprise, all marked soon. The restaurant's been open for over a decade, and 3 items on the menu still say coming soon. The Goliath L3 itself, testnet. Major updates pushed today. But testnet means test, not production, not real money flowing through real pipes. Now here's the number that made XXX stop scrolling. The Block Explorer shows 288 million transactions, but only 31,000 total addresses. Average fee, $0.00001. For the coders, that's over 9,000 transactions per address, with negligible gas costs. Consistent with batching, bots, incentive loops, or internal automation. Not proof of organic economic activity. Without a DAU dashboard or fee revenue breakdown, you can't distinguish a busy chain from a chain driving in circles. For the mechanics, that's like an odometer showing 288,000 miles on a car that's only had 31 drivers. Either those drivers are doing laps in a parking lot, or somebody rolled the odometer forward. Now here's the harder question from the Dyno standard. Is blockchain even required for what Onyx is trying to do? Traditional databases and permissioned ledgers could handle 80% of the enterprise settlement use case, cheaper and faster. Blockchain adds censorship resistance and composability, but if your L3 runs a permissioned sequencer and a permissioned DAC, how much censorship resistance are you actually getting? Build sheet takeaway. Coherent L3 architecture on a proven Orbit stack. Good spec numbers, real infrastructure tools, but the chain is testnet. The Explorer data smells like automation. The code isn't visibly active, And the core value prop walks a thin line between decentralized infrastructure and a database with extra steps. Is anyone actually loading cargo? Short answer, we can't tell. And that is the problem. No DAU or MAU dashboard, no fee revenue reporting, no public metrics beyond the basic block explorer we already covered. For the coders, no subgraph, no Dune dashboard, no token terminal listing. The data infrastructure that lets you verify adoption doesn't exist here. For the mechanics, there's no service log, no maintenance records. The car says it's been driven, but there's no paperwork to prove it. No named production apps are running on Onyx with verifiable usage. Zero. The Onyx points system drives current engagement. That's their incentive program for bootstrapping liquidity and activity. Points programs can work, but they distort what real demand looks like. When you're paying people to eat at your restaurant, a full dining room doesn't prove the food is good. Would anyone use this without rewards? On the Ethereum side, staking and governance continues. That's real. On the L3, completely untested. The L3 hasn't had a single day of post-incentive organic demand. Partners and listings. Robinhood, confirmed. Real distribution, real access for retail. ThirdWeb, Wormhole, Superbridge, Bridged USDC, live integrations. Working. The old enterprise names, NASDAQ, Citi, Visa, those are from the chain era, pre-rebrand. Unless both parties confirm active collaboration today, they're museum pieces, reported at best, not confirmed. Liquidity, price around half a cent, market cap around 186 million, volume 7 to 9 million daily. A $10 million sell on 9 million daily volume moves everything. The exit door exists, it's just narrow. And here's something most people missed. Binance delisted the XCN perpetual contract in November 2025. Losing a major derivatives venue reduces speculative flow and hedging efficiency. And Bitfinex delisted XCN entirely. When exchanges are reducing exposure to your token, that's a signal worth hearing. Now let's pop the fuel cap. Fuel system. And this one needs explaining because the numbers don't agree depending on where you look. Max supply, 68.89 billion XCN. Fixed ceiling. But about 20.5 billion were burned on Ethereum, verified on-chain, real supply destruction. So the effective total supply is around 48.4 billion. Circulating, about 37.2 billion. That's roughly 77% of the post-burn total and 54% of the original max. For the coders, that 54% unlocked state is confirmed across Tokenomist and on-chain data. The remaining 46% sits in time lock and DAO contracts with structured release schedules. For the mechanics, imagine a gas tank with a divider. 54% of the fuel is available to burn right now. The other 46% is locked behind a valve that opens a little bit every month. Now here's the diligence flag. CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, the Onyx docs, and Tokenomist all report slightly different numbers for circulating and total supply. Close, but they don't match. For institutional grade infrastructure, your own supply numbers need to agree. That's table stakes. Emissions. 200 million XCN per month from the time lock contract running through March 2030, plus up to 200 million per month from the DAO contract, but only distributed when users claim staking rewards or governance proposals execute. Unused allocations roll over. For the coders, the time lock is time-based programmatic release. The DAO emissions are demand-triggered with a monthly ceiling. Two different injection mechanisms with different activation conditions. For the mechanics, one fuel line drips automatically on a timer. The other only flows when someone turns the ignition. But both are adding fuel to the system every month. The next major unlock, March 15th, 2026. That's 15 days from today. Release to the DAO treasury. What the DAO does with those tokens, hold, distribute, sell, deploy as liquidity is the single most important near-term event. One treasury decision can move price more than every technical upgrade combined. Treasury on-chain. XXX verified this on Etherscan. Timelock wallet. 9.8 billion XCN. DAO Treasury. 1.55 billion. At current prices, roughly 52 million in token value. But it's all in XCN. No diversified stables. No fiat buffer. If price drops 50%, Treasury drops with it. Operating expenses are unknown. Burn rate undisclosed. Runway uncalculable. The docs claim 0 XCN loan to third parties for market making. Positive disclosure if true, but unverified. Burn mechanism. EIP 1559 style. A portion of base fees on the L3 gets burned. For the coders, base fee burn with priority fee tip to sequencer. Standard 1559 implementation on the Orbit stack. For the mechanics, every time someone drives on the L3 highway, a tiny bit of fuel gets permanently destroyed. More traffic means more burn. Less supply over time. But the problem is current traffic. Average fee is $0.00001. With testnet level activity, the burn rate is essentially zero. Burns only matter when there's real volume. Right now, the exhaust pipe is cold. ATH, 18 cents, May 2022. Current price, half a cent. 97% drawdown, not from last cycle, from 4 years ago. That's not a dip, that's a crater. Who drives this truck? The Onyx DAO, on Ethereum. Token holders vote with staked XCN. For the coders, governance contracts on Ethereum mainnet. Proposal threshold, 100 million XCN governance weight. Approval threshold, 200 million. 3-day voting window. 2-day execution time lock. Standard governor-style implementation. For the mechanics, you need about $464,000 worth of tokens just to put something on the ballot. That keeps spam out. But it also means only whales get to propose. The regular driver doesn't get a vote on where the road goes. No insider exclusion period. No year one lockout for treasury actors. The biggest holders can vote from day one. Security history, November 2023. The Onyx protocol, a compound fork lending platform under the Onyx brand, got exploited. And here's the detail. The hack came through a PEPE lending market on the protocol. 1,164 ETH drained, about $2.1 million. TVL collapsed 87% overnight. Tell your gym bro. Even the frog couldn't protect this one. Now, is today's L3 the same attack surface? No. Different code, different architecture. But the brand carries the scar. If you're pitching institutional trust, your security track record follows you. The Eclipse's previous owner crashed it. You fixed it, but the accident report is on file. Centralization. 3 trust dependencies in this stack. For the coders, the sequencer is a single transaction ordering entity. If it halts or censors, user experience degrades immediately with no forced inclusion mechanism documented. The AnyTrust DAC is a permissioned committee where N of M must be honest, not full data availability like a pure roll-up posting to Ethereum. And settlement depends on base, which depends on Ethereum. 3 layers of dependency. For the mechanics, 3 parts in the drivetrain that can each break independently. The transmission, the transfer case, and the differential. Anyone goes, you're on a flatbed. Competition. And this is the brutal part. The Orbit stack that Onyx uses, anyone can deploy it. Dozens of L3s are building on Orbit right now. Base itself has a massive ecosystem. Arbitrum's main L2 has hundreds of dApps with real liquidity. Moat, weak. No ecosystem lock-in. No developer density. No liquidity advantage. A funded team could replicate the entire architecture in months. Regulatory. This is actually a brighter spot. MiCA whitepaper published. That's a compliance signal most projects don't bother with. The team is framing future upgrades around regulatory alignment. But on the US side, the Clarity Act passed the House in 2025 and is stuck in Senate negotiations heading into 2026. US crypto regulation is still a moving target. Nobody knows what the rules are yet. And building compliance for rules that don't exist yet is expensive guesswork. 80% drawdown, already in the rear view. 97% from ATH. 18 cents to half a penny. 4 years. No recovery. The stress test isn't hypothetical. It's the current state. Volume collapse. 7 to 9 million daily. A further drop makes exits nearly impossible for any meaningful position. This is already thin. Incentives removed. The points program drives current engagement. Remove it, and the L3 has never been tested without it. Organic demand is an open question with no data. 18-month bear market. Treasury is 100% XCN. No diversified runway. No disclosed operating costs. If the project that's been building since 2014 can't show a runway number, you have to assume the worst case until proven otherwise. The 2023 exploit. Brand damage. The Binance PEPE delisting, reduced derivatives access, the Bitfinex full delisting, doors closing, and the March 15 unlock. 15 days. Fresh tokens to the DAO Treasury. One decision by Treasury actors can overwhelm every narrative and every technical update. This is the event that matters most in the next 90 days. Everything else is noise until that unlock resolves. All right, we are here. Everyone's favorite part. Show me the Mooo law. Every number you've been hearing today came from the head of technical analysis in this garage, Lulu. She walked up to this Eclipse GSX, tried to climb in, couldn't fit through the door because, well, she's a pig and it's a two-door sports car from 1995. So she sat on the hood instead. The suspension complained. She didn't care. Pulled out her clipboard and said, "This car has been repainted 3 times. You want me to predict what it's worth at auction? Fine. But I'm grading the engine, not the paint." Here's the starting line. Total crypto market, about 2.29 trillion. XCN trading around half a cent. Market cap, about 186 million. Circulating supply, about 37.2 billion. Current market share, about 0.008%. Tiny. Now let's run it to 20 trillion. Cruise control. Market grows. XCN holds its lane. Same share. Market cap about 1.6 billion. Token price about 4 cents. Roughly 8 times from here. What had to go right? Nothing special. Just survive. Don't get delisted from more exchanges. Keep the lights on. 8 times for doing nothing extraordinary. Traction. Goliath mainnet launches. Real TVL shows up. Named enterprises confirm production use. Burns accelerate with real transaction volume. Onyx gains 2 to 3 times current share. Market cap 3 to 4.5 billion. Price 8 to 12 cents. 17 to 26 times from here. But this requires the testnet to become a mainnet with real users. That's a bet, not a plan. Full Mooo Onyx becomes the go-to L3 for regulated financial infrastructure. MiCA and Clarity Act compliance give it a lane nobody else occupies. Burns go parabolic. Major integrations, 5 to 10 times current share. Market cap, 7 to 15 billion. Price, 20 cents to 40 cents. 40 to 87 times from here. Lulu has an asterisk next to this one. The probability of a moonshot from a project that's been building since before most of the audience opened a crypto wallet is not 0. But it's wearing an ankle monitor. Black Swan, market hits 20 trillion. But Onyx never ships mainnet, or ships it and nobody comes. March unlock floods the market. More delistings. Another exploit hits the brand. Treasury sells. Price stays flat or drifts lower. The market grew 10 times. The Eclipse sat in the driveway, turbo whistling, nobody behind the wheel. Lulu closes the clipboard and says, "I've seen a lot of project cars. Some make it to the track, most don't. This one has been in the shop longer than most of the audience has been in crypto. The turbo is new, the paint is fresh. But until this car completes 1 lap with a driver on a real track, All you've got is a garage ornament with a really loud exhaust. Red flags, no mercy. 1. Dormant development. Core token contract untouched since February 2023. No public members on the GitHub org. For a project claiming active L3 development, the code doesn't match the marketing. 2. Supply discrepancies. 4 major sources report 4 different numbers for circulating and total supply. Your own data needs to agree before anyone else trusts it. 3. The 2023 exploit. 2.1 million drained through a PEPE lending market. TVL collapsed 87%. Different architecture than today, but the credibility debt doesn't expire. 4. Exchange delistings. Binance killed the perp. Bitfinex dropped the token entirely. Doors closing. 5. Explorer anomaly. The transaction to address ratio is wildly inconsistent with organic adoption. Without transparent DAU and fee revenue data, you can't prove real users exist on the L3. 6. Treasury opacity. All XCN, no diversified reserves, no disclosed expenses, no calculable runway. 7. March 15 unlock. 15 days. One treasury decision can overwhelm everything. Now the honest positives. The architecture is real. Orbit L3 with AnyTrust DA and base settlement is a coherent tech stack, not vaporware. 20 billion tokens burned on Ethereum, verified, real supply destruction. Working products, wallet, bridge, AI agent, staking, governance, all live. Mika compliance whitepaper, a seriousness signal most projects skip. Robinhood listing confirmed. Distribution matters. Enterprise DNA from the chain era. Whether those relationships translate to Onyxcoin today is unproven, but the institutional pedigree exists. And the project has survived multiple bear markets, multiple rebrands, and a security exploit. Still here. That's resilience, even if it's not traction. Now, before anyone pawns their gym membership over a half-cent token, none of this is financial advice. Not investment advice, not trading advice. This is education, analysis, and one very opinionated garage. And just in case you're new here, all those numbers today, they came from Lulu, head of technical analysis. She is incredible at what she does. But Lulu is a pig, a real one. 4 hooves, a tail, a snout, the whole thing. She tried to climb into that Eclipse GSX, couldn't fit through the door, sat on the hood, cracked the fender, pulled out her clipboard, ran every scenario, then tried to eat the turbo wastegate. Turns out, wastegates are not edible, even for pigs, especially from 1995. So if you're out here taking financial advice from a pig who dented a 30-year-old sports car with her own body weight, that one's on you. Now let's score it. Technology 6.0. Coherent L3 on a proven orbit stack. Good spec numbers on Goliath. Real Explorer. Real chain parameters. But testnet only, sequencer and DAX centralization, and no production audit disclosures. Team 4.5. Doxed founder with real enterprise history, but invisible current builders. Dormant public repos. Multiple rebrands raise continuity questions. Tokenomics 5.0. Burn mechanism exists. 20 billion already destroyed. Supply is structured. But numbers don't agree across sources, and the March unlock is a near-term pressure point. Treasury 4.0. On-chain balances are verifiable. No market maker lending claimed, but all XCN. No diversified reserves, no burn rate, no runway. Real usage 3.0. Explorer shows activity that doesn't pass the smell test. No DAU, no fee revenue, no post-incentive demand proof. Business model 4.0. Gas plus governance plus staking is a working model on paper. Zero verifiable revenue in practice. Burns negligible at current activity. Moat 3.5. Orbit L3 is increasingly commoditized. Anyone can deploy the same stack. No ecosystem lock-in, no developer density, no liquidity advantage. Governance 5.0. Functional DAO with clear thresholds, but whale concentration risk and no transparent participation metrics. Community, 4.5. 88,000 followers, 86% bullish sentiment, but incentive-dependent engagement. Regulatory, 6.0. MiCA whitepaper, compliance posture, enterprise roots, U.S. clarity pending. Cycle resilience, 4.0. Survived bears, but through rebrands, not traction. Exploit scar and delistings weaken the score. Alpha potential, 5.5. Mainnet launch is a real catalyst if it ships with real adoption. Delivery risk is high. Total garage score, 4.6 out of 10. Showroom build. This is not a 7. This is a showroom build. The Eclipse GSX has been in the shop through multiple owners. New paint every time. Someone just bolted on a turbo. It makes great boost noises. But this garage doesn't grade paint jobs. We grade engines. And this engine hasn't turned a wheel on a real road. There is real infrastructure here. Real burns, real token utility design, real compliance effort, real enterprise heritage, and genuine survival instinct. But the L3 is testnet. The code is dormant. The Explorer data doesn't add up. The treasury has no diversified runway. Exchange doors are closing, and a major unlock hits in 15 days. 4.6, showroom build. What changes the score? Ship mainnet. Show real DAU. Show fee revenue. Open the treasury books. Name one enterprise partner who confirms production use today. Do that, and we'll jack it back up on the lift and rescore it. Until then, it stays in the showroom. Smash the like, hit the follow, and go tell your gym bro. The garage found the only project in crypto that's been in the shop longer than his PEPE position has been underwater. Tell him we even found a PEPE connection. The exploit that drained 2 million came through a PEPE market. Even the frog couldn't save it. But hey, at least the wastegate sounds good. You got a project you want on the lift? Leave it in the comments. We read them all. Check us out, gurucryptogarage.guru. Until next time, let it rip.